you've worked so hard over the weekend and the past few weeks, I'm gonna help you sleep today. I'm gonna get you into bed. We're gonna get you all nice and cozy, relaxed, warm, and really help you feel nice and refreshed. Nice and refreshed. So, I hope that your pillows are comfortable. We have 2 pillows here. One is memory foam with a lovely silk cover, and we have this down pillow here full of feathers that's very, very soft, but a little firmer for you, so you can choose, pick and decide what pillow you would like to sleep on, but they're both here for you. Okay. I have this here as well. It's a few things. We have this, which has earphones in it. I'll set this here for you if you need this. There's some built-in calming soundtracks once I disappear if you're still struggling to sleep. And we also have a sleep mask here for you as well that we can just gently pop over your eyes if the light is too bright for you. And I have 2 lovely little animals I will show you. We have this here, which is a little wolf hot water bottle. How cute is this? And this little wolfy hot water bottle I can fill up for you, and we can get it nice and warm and just sit here beside you, nice and warm for you to cuddle into. And if that's not enough, we have this little penguin, which has a beanbag inside that we can use, and you heat it up in the microwave, and once you pop that on in, it heats up, you put it back in the penguin, and you will feel so very relaxed and at peace. Why don't you join me for some deep breaths just now? So breathe in and out, and in and out, and in and out. Good. Just feel your stress completely fade away. So I've got some things to very gently pamper you with, and I will make sure to read you a bedtime story as well, which I hope and I'm sure that you will love. But first, let's pamper you. do have this bean bag for you that I have heated up so that it's nice and warm. And we can pop this around your neck or beside your face, just whatever suits. It sounds like waves. Okay, I'm just gonna pop this round you now. There we are. Lovely. Lovely and gentle. I'm just going to gently stroke your face as well. Have you ever had anyone gently just touch your eyebrows before? Like this. Just touch, stroke those eyebrows. Like this. It can be so very tingly and soothing. Like this. You look so very relaxed already. I'm very, very pleased. And what about if I stroke the sides down your face? Do you find this tingly and soothing? I hope you do. I really, 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 really hope that you do. I'm going to spray this sleep spray on your pillow. It is Rituals, the ritual of Xing, your path to inner peace, a deep sleep pillow mist. And I also have this night rescue hand mask that we're going to use. Like so. this into your hands like so. Massage, massage. There we are. How nice and relaxing. We're gonna pop this. So this is a special eye treatment mask I got you. It's 24 karat pure gold, anti-aging, collagen and hyaluronic acid. Deionized with water, plant collagen, hydrolyzed soy protein, Librogel oil. It's got lots of different vitamins inside. And we're going to put this under your eyes to help you sleep and really soothe that eye area. If I can get it open, because I use the oil for the hand treatment. My hands are very slippy. There we are. Okay. There we go. Here's the first one. Here. And the second one right here. There. How does that feel? Nice and cool? Good. Nice and cool. I forgot I brought you another baby penguin just because I love penguins so much that I wanted you to have another one to sleep next to. So I'll put it here beside Mama Penguin. And I also have these tools for your face. Okay. So this here, we're just going to gently remove some of these spots. It's very gentle and not painful at all, but it's really good. And hopefully they'll be away by the morning. I find the squeezing of them very addictive. We have quite a few different tools actually in this kit. This is a smaller one. I hope you find this very soothing. Fingers crossed. And this one here, it's almost like it's an extra squeeze. It should be very relaxing and completely not painful at all. How does that feel? Are you comfortable enough? Are you sure? It's really important that you are super comfortable and ready to sleep. And then I'll begin your bedtime story. Let's just tuck you in here. Get that in beside you. And bring this right like so. I am excited for today's book. I think it will be really soothing, and you don't mind me being sitting on the edge of your bed. Okay, good. Good. Okay. So today's story is A Pair of Silk Stockings by Kate Chopin. Little Mrs. Summers one day found herself the unexpected possessor of $15. It seemed to her a very large amount of money, and the way in which it stuffed and bulged her worn old portemonnaie gave her a feeling of importance such as she had not enjoyed for years. The question of investment was one that occupied her greatly. For a day or two she walked about, apparently in a dreamy state, but really absorbed in speculation and calculation. She did not wish to act hastily, to do anything she might afterward regret. But it was during the still hours of the night, when she lay awake, revolving plans in her mind, that she seemed to see her way clearly toward a proper and judicious use of the money. $1 or 2 should be added to the price usually paid for Janie's shoes, which would ensure their lasting an appreciable time longer than they usually did. She would buy so and so many yards of percale for new shirt waists for the boys and Janie and Mag. She had intended to make the old ones do by skillful patching. Mag should have another gown. She had seen some beautiful patterns, vegetable parkins in the shop windows, and still there would be left enough for new stockings, 2 pairs of beast, and what darning that would save for a while. She would get caps for the boys and sailor hats for the girls. The vision of her little brood looking fresh and dainty and new for once in their lives excited her and made her restless and wakeful with anticipation. The neighbours sometimes talked of certain better days that little Mrs. Summers had known before she had ever thought of being Mrs. Summers. She herself indulged in no such morbid retrospection. She had no time, no second of time to devote to the past. The needs of the present absorbed her every faculty. A vision of the future, like some dim, gaunt monster, sometimes appalled her, but luckily tomorrow never comes. Mrs. Summers was one who knew the value of bargains, who could stand for hours making her way inch by inch toward the desired object that was selling below cost. She could elbow her way if need be. She had learned to clutch a piece of goods and hold it and stick to it with persistence and determination till her turn came to be served, no matter when it came. But that day she was a little faint and tired. She had swallowed a light luncheon. No, when she came to think of it, between getting the children fed and their place righted and preparing herself for shopping about, she had actually forgotten to eat any luncheon at all. She sat herself upon a revolving stool before a counter that was comparatively deserted, trying to gather strength and courage to charge through an eager multitude that was besieging breastworks of shirting and figured lawn. An all-gone limp feeling had come over her, and she rested her hand aimlessly upon the counter. She wore no gloves. By degrees she grew aware that her hand had encountered something very soothing, very pleasant to touch. She looked down to see that her hand lay upon a pile of silk stockings. A placard nearby announced that they had been reduced in price from $2.50 to $1.98, and a young girl who stood behind the counter asked her if she wished to examine their line of silk hosiery. She smiled, just as if she'd been asked to inspect a tiara of diamonds with the ultimate view of purchasing it, but she went on feeling the soft, sheeny, luxurious things with both hands now, holding them up to see them glisten and to feel them glide serpent-like through her fingers. 2 hectic blotches came suddenly into her pale cheeks. She looked up at the girl. "Do you think there are any 8.5 among these?" There were any number of 8.5. In fact, there were more of that size than any other. Here was a light blue pair, there was some lavender, some all black and various shades of tan and grey. Mrs. Summers selected a black pair and looked at them very long and closely. She pretended to be examining their texture, which the clerk assured her was excellent. $1.98, she mused aloud. "Well, I'll take this pair." She handed the girl a $5 bill and waited for her change and her parcel. What a very small parcel it was. It seemed lost in the depths of her shabby old shopping bag. Mrs. Summers after that did not move in the direction of the bargain counter. She took the elevator which carried her to an upper floor into the region of ladies' waiting rooms. Here, in a retired corner, she exchanged her cotton stockings for the new silk ones which she had just bought. She was not going through any acute mental process or reasoning with herself, nor was she striving to explain her satisfaction, the motive of her action. She was not thinking at all. She seemed for the first time to be taking a rest from that laborious and fatiguing function, and to have abandoned herself to some mechanical impulse that directed her actions and freed her of her responsibility. How good was the touch of the raw silk to her flesh. She felt like lying back in the cushioned chair and revelling for a while in the luxury of it. She did for a little while. Then she replaced her shoes, rolled the cotton stockings together, and thrust them into her bag. After doing this, she crossed straight over to the shoe department and took her seat to be fitted. She was faceless. The clerk could not make her out. He could not reconcile her shoes with her stockings, and she was not too easily pleased. She held back her skirts and turned her feet one way and her head another way as she glanced down at the polished, pointed-tipped boots. Her foot and ankle looked very pretty. She could not realize that they belonged to her and were a part of herself. She wanted an excellent and stylish fit. She told the young fellow who served her, and she did not mind the difference of $1 or $2 more in the price, as long as she got what she desired. It was a long time since Mrs. Summers had been fitted with gloves. On rare occasions when she bought a pair, they were always bargains, so cheap that it would have been preposterous and unreasonable to have expected them to be fitted to the hand. Now she rested her elbow on the cushion of the glove counter, and a pretty, pleasant young creature, delicate and deft of touch, drew a long-wristed kid over Mrs. Summer's hand. She smoothed it down over the wrist and buttoned it neatly, and both lost themselves for a second or two, admiring contemplation of the little symmetrical gloved hand. But there were other places where money might be spent. There were books and magazines piled up in the window of a stall a few paces down the street. Mrs. Summers bought 2 high-priced magazines, such as she had been accustomed to read in the days when she had been accustomed to other pleasant things. She carried them without wrapping. As well as she could, she lifted her skirts at the crossings. Her stockings and boots and well-fitting gloves had worked marvels in her bearing, had given her a feeling of assurance, a sense of belonging to the well-dressed multitude. She was very hungry. Another time she would have stifled the cravings for food until reaching her own home, where she would have brewed herself a cup of tea and taken a snack of anything that was available. But the impulse that was guiding her would not suffer her to entertain any such thought. There was a restaurant at the corner. She had never entered its doors. From the outside she had sometimes caught glimpses of spotless damask and shining crystal, and soft-stepping waiters serving people of fashion. When she entered, her appearance created no surprise, no consternation, as she had half feared it might. She seated herself at a small table alone, and an attentive waiter at once approached to take her order. She did not want a profusion. She craved a nice, tasty bite. A half-dozen blue points, a plump chop with cress, a something sweet creme frappée, for instance, a glass of brown wine, and after a small cup of black coffee. While waiting to be served, she removed her gloves very leisurely and laid them beside her. Then she picked up a magazine and glanced through it, cutting the pages with the blunt edge of her knife. It was all very agreeable. The damask was even more spotless than it had seemed through the window, and the crystal more sparkling. There were quiet ladies and gentlemen who did not notice her, lunching at the small tables like her own. A soft, pleasing strain of music could be heard, and a gentle breeze was blowing through the window. She tasted a bite, and she read a word or two, and she sipped the amber wine and wiggled her toes in the silk stockings. The price of it made no difference. She counted the money out to the waiter and left an extra coin on his tray, whereupon he bowed before her as before a princess of royal blood. There was still money in her purse, and her next temptation presented itself in the shape of a matinee poster. It was a little later when she entered the theatre. The play had begun, and the house seemed to her to be packed, but there were vacant seats here and there, and into one of them she was ushered between brilliantly dressed women who had gone there to kill time and eat candy and display their gaudy attire. There were many others who were there solely for the play and acting. It is safe to say there was no one present who bore quite the attire which Mrs. Summers did to her surroundings. She gathered in the whole, stage and players and people in one wide impression, and absorbed it and enjoyed it. She laughed at the comedy and wept. She and the gaudy woman next to her wept over the tragedy, and they talked a little together over it. And the gaudy woman wiped her eyes and sniffed on a tiny square of filmy, perfumed lace, and passed little Mrs. Summers her box of candy. The play was over, the music ceased, the crowd filled out. It was like a dream ended. People scattered in all directions. Mrs. Summers went to the corner and waited for the cable car. A man with keen eyes who sat opposite to her seemed to like the study of her small, pale face. It puzzled him to decipher what he saw there. In truth, he saw nothing, unless he were wizard enough to detect a poignant wish, a powerful longing that the cable car would never stop anywhere, but go on and on with her forever. That was a really lovely story, and it's so nice, I suppose, to be able to treat ourselves to something beautiful every now and again. Now, I hope you have a really beautiful, pleasant sleep. Just close your eyes. I'll leave